Converted man here. I haven't been on camera in a while, so I thought, hey, I'll be on camera for a while. And of course, as always, the camera's angle is completely wrong, just to irritate people. Maybe there's another reason, but whatever. Anyways, found this video. Time to respond to it. It's gonna be quick. I mean, the video is only 4 minutes 49 seconds long, so this will only take, I don't know, 10 hours.
You could argue, if God is so evident and clear, why do some people reject it?
Well, God isn't evident or clear at all. Which God are you talking about? Now, of course, this particular channel is Islamic. I guess Allah then is what you're talking about. I don't know, but you're assuming that it is clear, which it isn't. But then you're saying, well, since it is clear, because I'm going to assert that it is, then why is it that people reject it? Well, it's not that there isn't anything for me to reject because there isn't any evidence of the thing in the first place. So I can't accept or reject it without knowing anything about it. And since it is not evidently here, then there's nothing for me to accept or reject.
If it's as clear as we're saying, why do some people reject the existence of God or have doubts about the existence of God? There are two primary reasons. One is out of arrogance. Some people, especially some atheists, they do not want to be subjected to the laws of God, because when you admit there is a God, God has laws. And if God has laws, you ought to follow those laws.
Some gods have laws, other gods do not. But if you could demonstrably demonstrate any particular version of God, I would admit that that God existed. That doesn't mean I have to follow its laws, at least not as far as I can tell. Merely acknowledging the existence of something doesn't then behoove me to do what that something wants me to do. I could acknowledge that the law is to go 30 miles an hour and yet do 50 miles an hour, despite acknowledging the fact that I'm speeding. I'm knowingly breaking the law, and I'm doing so of my own free desire to do so, and an acknowledgement that, yes, I know what the speed limit is. If a cop pulled me over, I'm like, yeah, do you know how fast you were going? Oh, yes, I was going way over the speed limit. Actually, I don't know how fast I was going. I wasn't really paying attention. I do know that I was going way over the speed limit. I think it was 50, 60 probably. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I deserve a ticket, definitely. So there's no contradiction between acknowledging God and yet refusing to follow whatever laws that God has set out. But the problem is you haven't proven that there's a God at all, nor has anyone else. And God itself also hasn't proven that there's a God and that it has laws that it wants me to follow. So until it does, there's nothing here that to accept or reject. So
some people want to be free. It's that arrogance of, no, I don't want to submit myself to God. Or some, it's because of a tragic incident that happened in their life. They're upset at the will of God. So they become angry. That anger pushes them to reject the existence of God.
So those are your only two options? You really think that that's it? Wow, that's very narrow-minded of you, but I guess I'm not surprised. So let's say somebody had something bad happen to them, or somebody else they cared about, or whatever. It's like, well, that's God's will. Everything's God's will, after all. So whether it's good or bad, it's all God's will, and you just have to accept it. can't get mad at God, I guess. And that supposedly is what drove them away from God. Maybe, I don't know. Might have been. But they are then not brought back to God through, I don't know, an explanation. Like, just how about God say, hey, look, your beloved, they had to die because, well, it was their time. You see here, that's why they were assigned to die on this day at this time in this way, and that actually causes this here, and that without that wouldn't happen, and that's part of my plan here. So that's what had to be. I'm sorry about that, but just to let you know, I care about you, or something. Just something, give them something, right? Or maybe you have them do the thing and they get angry and upset, but you're God, you know that they're going to be angry or upset, so then why do that thing? Couldn't you do something else instead? I don't know, just doesn't seem very rational way of thinking about this. I think that it's more likely that people don't believe in God because there isn't any evidence of God. Not that, well, they just had something bad happen to them. And I'm going to turn off my camera now. So, yeah. There it is. Okay.
It's really clear to them. They, inside their mind and heart, the bottom of their heart, they know God exists. But due to arrogance, they will reject God. That's one reason. The second interesting reason, and this is very interesting. When you look at things around you, how do you come to know objects and things?
Through your senses, I guess. Sight, sound, touch, taste, smell. I don't know. Not sure what this has to do with anything else, but yeah, I would guess the senses. Who's he looking at? I don't know. But yeah, the senses. I'm going to answer the senses. Is that right? Is that the answer?
Through their opposites.
What?
How do you know light exists?
Because I can see that there's light and it bounces off of objects and illuminates them through their opposites. It's not how I come to know about things. That's incoherent. That's not the right answer. I come to know things by the fact that there's things to know, and I have senses that allow me to perceive those things. Nope, it's the opposites. Okay, so you can't know about water being wet unless you know what dry is, right? Like, you have to know about the opposites. Oh my word, this is dumb.
When it's dark, right? Imagine if in our lives there was one shade of light.
What?
And it's constant.
Eh?
Would you really know what light is?
I don't know, because I have no idea what that world would be like. If there was constantly light, yes, I think we would still know what light is, given that it reflects off of things. I don't know if we'd be evolved in a very different way if there was constantly light like that, though. So, also the radiation might cause a problem. But again, we would be very different creatures if there was. Oh, you don't want an actual serious response, right? This is a redundant question. I'm not meant to explore this question at all. Oh my word!
When you haven't seen the opposite of light, from the minute you're born till the last day of your life, you see one level of light.
Yeah.
It doesn't dim, it doesn't get stronger, it doesn't extinguish, it doesn't get dark. When that happens, can you see the light really sometimes? Or you could have doubts. Okay, where is the light?
What? I don't think you could have doubt. I mean, if it was there the whole, like, what kind of weird metaphor analogy is that? That doesn't make any sense.
It's all around you. Because you haven't seen the opposite. Once you see darkness, okay, it's a no-brainer. Even a kid understands there's light.
What? Like, Do you have to experience dark to know what light is? Like, that's so dumb. That's just so stupid. Oh my word. Jeez, no. That's not how things work. Anyway, so whatever. Okay, so in order to experience God, then, following your irrational idea, then we have to experience not God. You have to experience the opposite, right? I'm gonna write that as my comment. Yeah, forget my old comment. My old comment's stupid. Okay, so in order to know God, I have to not know God first. Or in order for there to be God, there has to not be a God. Because and the the they it's like light and, and dark. So you have to have not God for there to be God, right? Not like that makes any sense. But then again, nothing you said here made much sense. So, um, all right, back to the video.
The minute light is absent, you're like, okay, now I see that light exists. How do you know what generosity is? Through stinginess.
No,
If everyone is generous and they all have the same degree of generosity, you really wouldn't know what generosity is.
sure you would. This is dumb. How do you know that? Like, have you run this experiment at all? Like just once. I would love to see somebody that's like, look, let's try it out. All right, let's try it out. Let's get a young kid, and they're gonna have nothing but generosity bestowed upon them as they grow up, and we're gonna be like, what's generosity? And see if they can define it, or whatever. Like, oh my word, it's just so dumb, dumb.
How do you know what good is when you see evil? If everyone's good, impeccable, perfect, and you have not seen evil in your life, you don't even know what evil is.
Again, not necessarily, and even if it was true, which it really isn't. So that's why God made evil, is so that you can know what good is. So okay, what? Because God couldn't make it a different way. That's just how it is. Yeah, whatever. I guess. But this doesn't answer the question of why people reject God. So you're off on some bizarre tangent now. Keep going.
It's difficult to see the goodness when you're in a
Uh,
constant state of goodness.
okay, so when you go to paradise, then, since you're in a constant state of that goodness, like every now and again, they have to let you see hell and what's going on so that you're reminded of bad stuff. Is that how that works? Just asking.
Now, here's the thing. Everything in life has an opposite, except
Does it?
Allah. The existence
Oh, okay. So Allah doesn't have an opposite. So I guess you can't know Allah because there's no opposite. I thought, like, I guess you guys don't believe in the devil? I thought they had like a devil or Satan or something. I guess not. I don't know. I don't know anything about Islam. So, other than,
of God has no opposite.
okay.
We cannot conceive of a creation without God.
Well, that's because you're narrow-minded and you haven't thought things through very well, have you? If you can't conceive of it, that doesn't make it not so. One, and secondly, it's like an appeal to personal incredulity. It's like, I can't conceive of it, therefore it can't be. But then, like, everything you said is completely negated. Like, oh, Allah doesn't have an opposite, so you can't know Allah. Then you could never know Allah since there is no opposite. Sure, you can't. That's my new comment. So you can never know Allah because it has no opposite. How do you spell opposite? God damn it. I hate spelling. Opposite. There we go. Thank you. anyways, back to the video.
because it's impossible.
Right.
If theoretically we could see a world, a universe without God, the existence of God would be super clear. But we don't have such a supposition. You can't even suppose a universe, a creation without a creator, because
Well, when you say creation, then yeah, you're presupposing a creator, because that's what creation means. But yeah, you're saying you can't think about like how you could have a universe without a God. That's a problem. That's a uniquely you problem. But I can. I was like, yeah, I can conceive of a universe with or without a God. It's amazing how I can do that. It's like, yeah, I'm actually able to think about stuff. Wow, that's crazy. And hold on. Okay. Um, it basically, again, everything you're saying is complete ruin now, because the only way to know God would be to know not God. Like, so you'd have to have the universe without God first in order to know what God is, right? Like, that's how that would work.
that is illogical.
Yeah,
Anything that exists
everything you
must
said
have
is
a creator.
illogical.
Must be created by God. But let's say theoretically, for the sake of argument, we could picture a world in which there was no God. Now that's impossible, but I'm just saying for the sake of argument,
it's not
if we could
impossible.
picture that, it'd be super clear that there is a God.
Wait, what?
So some people are...
So if you can picture a world without a God, then it'd be super clear there is a God? Nope, because I picture a world without God like all the time, and it doesn't make it super clear that there's a God. But you said it was impossible to do. So, which is completely incoherent.
confused about the existence of God, or they reject the existence of God. Why? Because there's no opposite.
There's no evidence of it.
It's so clear, it's so evident, it's so, pervasive and continuous and constant. You don't see any other scenario. Therefore, sometimes you just can't see it.
That's stupid. What a dumb way to. It's like, well, of course you can't see it because it's always there. So that's why you can't. No, I can't see it because there's nothing to see. How about that? I don't know. Could be an option. Just saying. What an insanity. Just complete nutsoid. All right. Yeah, it's a late stream. Whatever.
لشدة وضوحه. Something when it's so clear, sometimes you just can't see it. Yeah. Just like the example of the light that I gave. We know what light is through darkness.
No, you don't.
If you were born and you'd constantly see one layer of light, one shade of light.
We don't know without it.
Sometimes, you could be seeing the light. You're like, what is light? I can't see it. Where it is. It's all around you. Where? You haven't seen darkness to compare it.
Oh,
we cannot see the absence of God to compare that absence with the existence of Allah.
So then you wouldn't, according to you, then you wouldn't ever be able to experience Allah then. You couldn't ever see it then. There would be zero evidence of it then. So which is it? You can't have it both ways.
Hence, some people doubt it. Hence, there are some atheists who reject the existence of God. Because it is so...
Because it is so what? Because it is so what? You can't just end there. Whatever. I guess you can. Oh, so, yeah. There you go. Is there an opposite of a lobster? Is it even possible for me to know lobsters? Well, no, there's no opposite of lobster. So you can't know lobster because there's no opposite of that at all. So yeah, you can't know that. And yeah. Of course I'm right. I'm always right. I am always right. Yes. What was I saying? See what you did to me? I don't know. All right. So yeah. There are many things that don't have opposites. Like, what's the opposite of a fish? Oh, a bird. Yeah, because it flies and the fish swims, right? is flying the opposite of swimming. Like, oh, you don't know what drowning is until you've not drowned or something. Anyways, all right, that's it for now. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye, Finn.